there's Ray's bright and smiling face. Ray, we were worried about you for like 37 seconds there.
Good morning. I've been on for 5 minutes. What happened?
Oh, really?
I thought I was.
Okay, well, good. Well, we're happy you're fine. I thought you might be in a ditch somewhere. Fan Morning Show is brought to you by Guardian Protection, your hometown home and business security company. All right, Russell Wilson signs a 1-year, $10.5 million deal with the Giants. That can push it to $21 million if he plays a requisite number of snaps, hit some incentives, and that would actually be a really good thing for the Steelers in terms of the compensatory pick game. But that's not sexy. Here's the sexy. Did the Steelers miss out in not signing Russell Wilson for a similar type deal that the Giants did?
No, I mean, I think the Steelers have a pretty good indication now that Aaron Rodgers is going to be their guy. I don't know what the delay is. I think Russell Wilson saw the writing on the wall, and I think the New York Giants saw that same writing on the wall as well. So, I think we all know by now that relationship with the Steelers went sour, at some point in December into January, and that wasn't going to work again. So, good for Russ for getting another job. But I think the Steelers now are 100% focused on Rodgers. I can't tell you when it's going to happen, Adam, but I'm fairly certain it is going to happen here at some point relatively soon.
Ray, help me parse through this because I tried to, and I guess it's up to the listeners to determine whether or not I did an effective job with it in the 6 o'clock hour. But Art Rooney II at the end of the season in his news conference, he said he wanted Fields or he wanted Russ, and then went on to talk about being able to survey the scene at the line of scrimmage and talk about some things that I think pointed to Art probably wanting Russell Wilson. I think Arthur Smith probably wanted Justin Fields. I'm not exactly sure where Omar Khan comes down in all of this, but I think that Mike Tomlin is the one who wants Aaron Rodgers here. Do I have that right in your opinion?
Yeah, 100%. And I do think conversations were had after Art Rooney did his news conference in January. So, we're talking 6 weeks out. Maybe they all got together after that, and maybe Art came to the realization that relationship couldn't be repaired. So I think that's one aspect of it. But in terms of Tomlin, I think you're 100% right, Adam. This is Tomlin's doing. He wants Rodgers to be the guy this year. I don't think that changes anything about 2026. This is just a one-year bridge. No matter if this is Mason Rudolph, if it would have been Russell Wilson, or if it's Aaron Rodgers, this is a one-year bridge to that future franchise quarterback that I think they're loading up to get or to try to get in 2026. So you referenced the compensatory picks next year. That's going to be really, really big if they're going to try to move up and get their guy next year.
Yeah, if Justin Fields plays a lot and Russell Wilson plays a lot and both guys wind up getting paid, I mean, you could talk about the Steelers having 3 additional third-round picks with the one that they already have. So they could have 4 third-round picks next year, Ray, which would be wonderful for them in their search for a quarterback. I'm interested on the timeline of all of this, and I think you've done a good job and just did breaking it down there. Like, I know that Omar Khan at the Combine said he would like to have something done with quarterback before the start of the new league year because you're trying to get wide receivers to come here. Does them trading for DK Metcalf prior to all that tell you that maybe they had their eyes on Rodgers this entire time? Because it's not like that guy really had a choice. Hey, do you want $150 million or not? Like, they didn't have to dance in front of any of these free agent wide receivers.
I think you make a good point because whether it was going to be Rodgers or Sam Darnold or anyone else, I think the Steelers had to go out and improve their offensive weaponry to show those quarterbacks that were going to be on the open market, hey, we're serious about this. We're going to have DK Metcalf. We're going to have George Pickens for one more year. We got Pat Freiermuth, and we're going to have a good offensive line and a good running game. I think that's the pitch. So in those conversations with Aaron Rodgers, they laid that out. They showed them that they were serious about, wanting to win. They went out and got DK Metcalf, and I think that was all part of it. Yeah, I mean, Omar, he was trying to do that for a year. He just couldn't get it done last summer. So I think he was motivated to get it done. I do think that was a big part of this quarterback wooing process, if you will.
I like that, wooing. You could text us, brought to you by Edgar Snyder and Associates, a personal injury law firm where they always say there's never a fee unless we get money for you. How do you think Russ played? Like looking at it in his totality last year, if you had to give him a letter grade for what he
Yeah.
accomplished and then ultimately didn't accomplish, how do you view it?
I mean, I like for the first 5 or 6 games, it would have been an A, right? And then for the last 5 games, probably an F. So you average that out. I mean, for me, it's a C. I don't think he was a terrible player. Um, the final month of the season was a disaster. But Adam, it was a disaster all around. If Russell Wilson would have thrown for 400 yards in that playoff game against the Ravens, the Steelers still wouldn't have won that game. They were getting run all over. So it was a total team collapse. I'm not putting all of that on Russell Wilson, but I think you mentioned Omar Khan. He also said at the combine, and I always go back to this: you have to score points in today's NFL. Do you remember that quote? I think it was in
Yes.
reference to not having a receiver at that point. You have to score points in today's NFL. So he knows you got to win 30-27 some weeks, 27-24 some weeks. You can't always win 17-16 or 13-10 the way the Steelers were early in the season. So they recognize that, and I think that's something they're trying to address this offseason. They did it with Metcalf, and I know we're talking about DL in the first round of the draft. That's probably true, but you're probably going to take a running back, you're probably going to take a receiver, and you may even take a quarterback too. So you're still going to be addressing offense even if you don't do it in round one.
Now, when you say quarterback, we're thinking middle round kind of guy, right?
Yeah, like Tyler Schaff or Jalen Milroe or Will Howard. One of those guys, like round 3, round 4, I would say.
Ray Fittipaldo joining us, our Steelers insider right here on 93.7 The Fan Morning Show. Ray, Mike Tomlin uses the phrase the road gets narrow. I mean, I feel like that's what's happened with the quarterback, and obviously they want Aaron Rodgers. If it's not Rodgers, it's Mason, right? I mean, or are they bringing in? Are they they're not going to be interested in like Christian Kirk or excuse me, Kirk Cousins? I got my Kirks screwed up there.
Yeah, I think it would be Mason. Cousins would be an affordable salary because the Falcons would be taking on a lot of that signing bonus. But I mean, at this point, 27, 28-year-old Mason compared to a late 30s Kirk Cousins who can't move anymore. To me, you just roll with Mason. I don't think the floor would fall out. If he's a starter, I wouldn't be surprised if they contended for the playoffs. But I don't think they would be one of the worst teams in the NFL either. So I think that's the way it's trending. Like I said at the top, pretty sure Rodgers is going to happen at some point in the near future. Listen, if it doesn't happen by the weekend, I don't know that's going to happen over the weekend because Mike, Omar, and Art are all going to be at the owners' meetings, and they're going to be doing business down there. So maybe it happens in the next couple of days. If not, maybe it happens, next Monday or Tuesday when they get back.
If I remember correctly, we are going to get Mike Tomlin on the record at the owners' meetings, right? He'll be doing that breakfast thing.
Correct.
And I think last
Mike
year
hasn't talked since. Yeah, Mike hasn't talked since the end of the season, so he will, and he doesn't talk at the combine. So this will be the first time that we get him.
And you'll be there, right?
Jerry's going. Yeah, I will not be there.
There's probably golf involved, of course, to get Jerry out there. I believe last year, didn't Tomlin show up all like glistening and late to last year's media breakfast? Like he just got out of the shower, the swimming pool, or he was like going on a treadmill or something?
Yeah, I remember something to that effect. Hey, everyone has a good time down there, including the writers. So.
Except for Ray. Ray doesn't get to go, and this perturbs me. Maybe you don't want to go. Maybe I'm just speaking out of my backside right now.
No, I'd love to go, Adam. I'd love to go. I got my passport for Ireland. I got that going for me.
That'll be the 28th, right? Like it's a secret, but it's not really a secret. Is that what you understand with the Ireland trip?
That is my understanding.
Okay.
People always ask me. My nephew's going. He wants to know if he could book the trip. I said it's on this date, but wait until they release it because I don't want you blaming me when you get airfare and it's not that date.
I mean, Rodgers v. the Steelers. Rodgers v. the Packers in Ireland. A lot of eyeballs watching that thing at, let's check. At 9 a.m. local time. That'll be interesting. Ray, the Steelers, as I understand it, have $43 million in cap space. I could be off a decimal point here or there. Rodgers is going to take up a chunk of that.
Yeah.
The draft picks take up a chunk of that. And then they always like to have some wiggle room going into the regular season. I mean, this is it, right? They're
Yeah.
not going to be making that many. They're not going to make another
No,
splashy move the rest of the way, right?
no. Yeah, they're done making splash moves. I think the thing you want to watch in the summertime is how do they structure TJ Watt's next contract. So do they want to still like have that low cap hit in the early years of that contract and then all the pain is pushed down the road, or maybe will they structure that in a different way? Maybe they, give them a higher salary the first couple of years this time. They have the cap space to do it. It's not like they're up against it. So that's the thing I'm watching. How do they structure Watt's contract? And you're right. After Rodgers, after the draft picks, save yourself 7-10 million for in-season moves, and they'll be there.
Ray, this was wonderful. We're happy you're alive. You were probably screaming into the void there as we're like, oh my God, where is this guy? So happy to see your smiling face today and appreciate you coming on.
All right, Adam. Talk to you next week.
All right, buddy. That is Ray Fittipaldo of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.